What's up, guys? On this week's show,
the Phoenix is not rising.
You have one new notification.
And don't call me Angel.
All that and more on this episode
of One Giant Leap for Geeks.
Cue the music.
That's one small step for man. One giant leap for
Geeks. Welcome to another episode of OG LFG, where we talk about movies, video games, and all things in geek culture. I'm your host, Mike C. Squared. And with me is not my normal co-host, but my significant other, A-Train.
It's not my name.
No, that's what we're going with. You didn't pick one. That's what you get. Before we get started, I want to let you know, if you enjoyed the show, tell some friends about us. Share us on your social media. Whatever you choose to do, know that you're helping us let others know about the best damn podcast they've probably never heard of. If you want to talk to us, the show is on Twitter at GiantLeap4Geeks. Our resident DJ Melly Mel is at Froggy Beaver, and Benoit is at Benoit Gaming. That's BENWAH Gaming.
If you're like me and around my age, you're a sucker for nostalgia, especially 80s and 90s. I'm talking music, movies, television, games, just pop culture as a whole. So, if you're from mid-Michigan or going to be traveling to the area, I suggest you check out Rewind and Birch Run. Rewind is a vintage-inspired blast from the past with not just cool trinkets and novelty items, but dope gear to rock as well. I'm talking shirts, jackets, caps, and even sneakers. Retro styles to make your inner child smile. Absolutely, positively, definitely check out Rewind. You might even see your boy Benoit copping something old school or shooting the breeze with the owner, Tyler. Rewind is right off of I-75, exit 136 in the Birch Run Premium Outlets, Section E, next to Crocs.
Hey, Train. What you been doing?
Working.
Yeah. That sounds exciting.
Oh, yeah.
This is normally the part where you would have some fun little anecdotal story to tell about something that happened to you over the course of the week.
Nope.
You're not used to doing this part.
Nope. I worked and had the weekend off and
Okay.
dealt with some migraines. That's what I've been doing.
Well, that's depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a 3-day work week this week, so.
Oh, lucky you, fucker.
4 days off.
Oh, God, I wish. Well, as for myself, not too much, anything too exciting.
I'll say we went to the movies this weekend. That was it.
Yep, we saw a movie. My work week this week is not what it normally is, so unfortunately I couldn't do a normal recording. We're actually recording this a day early than what we normally would, and I couldn't get the gang together in order to do this. So because work schedule is being wonky this week, I decided that we would kind of try and catch up on some things that we've been meaning to watch and review, but we hadn't had a chance to yet. So this week you're getting a movie review and another episode of Black Mirror, and then a trailer review as well. But other than that, nothing too exciting. I think I talked about I got a tattoo, a new tattoo. Yeah, well, we both have
did.
matching tattoos. This is his and hers. No, but other than that, I started doing the fasting thing, the intermittent fasting thing, and that's been interesting. We'll see how long I can maintain doing this.
One word: hangry.
Yeah. Towards the tail end, I do get kind of grumpy. I've noticed that. But I'm going like damn near 20 hours without food. So at that point, I'm like, I'm pretty hungry.
And guess who gets to deal with it?
Yeah. Well, sorry. Other than that, not a whole lot. So I'm not gonna meander on this one. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on.
Fucking hell, A-Train. Don't sound so excited to be here.
as I said at the beginning of this, I didn't have a lot of content for this week, unfortunately, because the way work worked itself out. But I did want to get at least one trailer review in, and there was one that I popped up in my feed a few days ago, but I hadn't had a chance to sit down and watch it yet. But they are making a new Charlie's Angels movie. And
why?
Going to be see, and I'm glad I have you here for this, because I love the fact that it's a mixed crew for the podcast and it's not just a bunch of guys, because I'm always curious, like, you know, am I just in my own echo chamber? And I love having a woman's perspective. It's good that you're going to be here for this one. So, yeah, they're making a new Charlie's Angels movie. It's going to be starring old girl from Twilight, Kristen Stewart. Yep, Kristen Stewart. Elizabeth Banks is in it, and a couple other actresses that I kind of sort of recognize, but not really, not enough to know them by name. Yeah, apparently you don't either. So.
No.
So we just watched this just a few minutes ago, right before we started recording, and I want to know, because the moment it was over, you were making a face. Girl, you were making a face. Like somebody put like a booger in your bowl of cereal, like a face, like you ate something sour when you thought it was going to be sweet. That face that you're making right now. What did you feel about this trailer? Well, okay, I guess first, have you seen any of the other prior Charlie's Angels movies with like
bits
Drew
and
Barrymore
pieces
and
of it,
Diaz
but I just didn't care.
No, so you've never been a fan of the Charlie's Angels movies?
No.
Okay.
No.
So what did you feel about this one?
It's nothing to lose sleep over.
Okay. Did it do anything for you as far as like comedic or visually wise? No, nothing.
No.
Nothing. Didn't get you wet in no kind of way?
No.
Well, that's disappointing. I'm gonna echo that. I don't dislike the I watched a little bit of the TV show when I was a kid. I remember it being on reruns. I remember watching that. I've seen, I think, all the movies that they did, like the ones in like the 90s and 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure I've seen all those. And I've always just been kind of indifferent about it. It's like, don't love Charlie's Angels, don't hate it either. It's just kind of there. I'm like, hey, you know, it's a thing. Sure. One thing I will say is everything I feel like that we're going to talk about on this episode, I feel is just underwhelmed by. Everything is just bland. It's like no seasoning. It's just there. It's like a piece of meat that was cooked and thrown on a plate with no zest or spice to it, and it's just and it's
Yum.
just there. Yeah, exactly. I appreciate the fact that they are using a property that has traditionally been an all-woman crew and trying to revitalize that, as opposed to what they've seemed to been doing a lot of lately, where like with the Ghostbusters remake and the Oceans movie, where it's just like, well, what if we did it again, but we put vaginas in it instead? And it's like, I mean, I guess, sure. At least with this, they're like, hey, this is a proven property that we know that people like to some degree or another. It's an all-female crew, so let's do that.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'm fine with it. I mean, existing, I don't have a problem with it. I like Elizabeth Banks a lot. I think she's a really good actress, but I'm not a fan of Kristen Stewart, so I was kind of like, if this is going to be like your hook to get me in here, like, I don't know if that's going to work. I mean, now you like the Twilight movies.
Oh, yeah,
though.
I like all those movies.
So, I mean, have you seen her in anything since then that you've enjoyed her in?
No.
No? Did you even like her in Twilight?
Yeah, I really like the Twilight movies, so even to this day I'll rewatch them.
Now, do you like her as an actress, though?
I like the story.
We watched that movie with her and Chris Hemsworth, The Huntsman, the Snow White movie. I think it was Snow White and the Huntsman. I think is what it was.
Sure.
So you don't even remember.
It was very, I guess, forgettable.
Yeah, it wasn't all that great. Charlize Theron was good as the witch, but
I don't remember that movie at all.
oh wow, okay. I don't know, man. I'm just I appreciate the fact that it's a woman that directed this. Like I'm pretty sure Elizabeth Banks directed this movie as well. Too.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that they're keeping it in house, so to speak, where it's just like, hey, it's a all female cast. We got a female director. Yada yada yada. They threw Patrick Stewart a bone and was like, hey, you're not playing, Professor X no more. You want to come be in this Charlie's Angels movie? He's like, I don't fucking care. I just want to check. So, I mean, he's in it, but he looks like he's having fun, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say this about it. I think the camaraderie between the girls looks genuine. Like, they look like they're a team and like they like each other and that they work well together. I do think some of the setup at the very beginning of the trailer was kind of cool, where Kristen Stewart's like talking to some business dude, mob dude, some shit, and then she starts like beating the shit out of him with the fucking curtain.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool. But other than that, yeah, I was really kind of just underwhelmed by it. I was just like, I don't know. See, that's the thing. It's like Endgame has spoiled me. Like, once I saw Captain America wield Thor's hammer and all the other shit that happened in that movie, everything else that's come out since then, I'm just kind of like, I mean, even with Spider-Man, like, I'm excited for it because I love Spider-Man and that's my favorite superhero, but even with that, I'm just kind of like, it's all right. Let's do this Mysterio shit. Yeah, I'm with it. I don't know. It's just,
they set the expectation too high.
yeah, no, I'm like, the bar has been set so high at this point. I'm just like, man, you're going to have to just literally make my head explode to impress me with anything, or give me a year or two before you come out with some big shit. And then I'll be like, okay, I'm ready for something now. I don't know, because I always think to myself, like, okay, when I don't like something or I'm not impressed by something, I always try to think to myself, like, well, what could they have done that would have turned me over on this? So I'm going to pose that question to you. What could they have done in this trailer to made you go like, oh, I want to see that? Like more comedy? Like some better action sequences? Maybe a different cast?
A different movie?
Well, we can't.
I don't
change the
know.
movie.
It's hard because I didn't really care for the other one, so I'm like,
yeah. So it's
this
just like
one,
not make the shit.
Yeah,
that's what they could have did. I think that if they would have went the angle of more like the Bourne Identity movies, where it's more like gritty, like a lot of hand-to-hand stuff, and like, real like in your face, like fast cut kind of stuff. Though I don't know, I feel like we've kind of, as a society of film goers, that we've kind of moved on past that kind of style of shooting and editing stuff. But I don't know, just maybe something along those lines, like give it a little bit more of a Mission Impossible flavor to it or whatever, because those movies still do good. I don't know who keeps wanting them to make more of them, but they make money every time they come out, so maybe go more in that route. Mm-hmm. And that fucking song, I don't know, was that Ariana Grande song? That shit was garbage, man. Like, have you heard that before the trailer?
No, they said it was brand new.
Yeah, I'm like, that song was hot garbage. I'm like, ugh, like, this is what y'all selling me with the trailer with? Like, okay, if you say so. I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll see when it comes out. I wasn't necessarily, sitting around going like, you know what they need to do? They need to make a new Charlie's Angels movie. Like, I've been just jonesing for some Charlie's Angels. But at the same time, if it's good, I'll like it. Like, I'm not one of these people who are like, oh, because it's women and da-da-da. Like, I don't know what that weird shit is about. Like, I could care less. I just want to be entertained. Yeah. Is all I ask for. And I'm like, if it's good, I'll enjoy it. If it's not, I'll say I didn't like it. Like, that's as simple as that. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not running to the theater.
No, you will be skipping with joy to the theater. Excited to
no.
finally learn to love Charlie's Angels.
No.
Yeah, see, that's what your problem is. You don't support women.
I am a woman.
that don't mean that you support them.
I never said that.
And that's not even by choice. You make it sound like you chose to be a woman. Like, excuse me, I asked for this. Thank you very much. You just so happen to be. I don't know. So I guess I don't have to feel bad then for not liking it?
No, not at all.
Okay, good. Because somebody's going to call me a misogynistic, woman-hating, I won't give it a chance, I'm biased, something. Sorry, it didn't do anything for me. It was kind of boring. That's all I got. Sorry. All right, moving on.
Charlie's Angels has been a staple of American pop culture for decades. It rightly deserves the top spot in the pantheon of iconic franchises. Said no one ever.
I'm upset because we normally do these reviews and it's usually me and you for the most part, or sometimes it'll be Mel or like the whole team. It just depends on like how everybody's schedule and how we can work things out. But for the most part, if I see something, you're most likely going to see it with me.
Yeah,
and usually. And the thing with this is we just did our review of Striking Vipers last week.
Yes.
The Black Mirror episode, the first one of the new season. And
or the third one, however you want.
Yeah, whatever order it was in, who knows. But so we decided we wanted to go ahead, since it's only 3 seasons this year.
3 episodes?
3 episodes this season. That's what I'm trying to say. Thank you. That we would go ahead and just wrap them up. And so we did watch the second episode. Now, normally when we do our reviews, we try to do a mullet style. We do not spoilers at the front, spoilers at the back. But because these are just TV shows, it's kind of really hard to talk about it without spoiling anything. And plus, it's been out for a bit now. So if you haven't seen the new season of Black Mirror, go ahead and stop listening to this. If you have seen it, go ahead. We will be going into full spoilers. Or if you're one of those people who just don't care either way, hang out and you're going to spoil the episode. So I'm going to say this right off the bat, because I said this before. I have not seen an episode of Black Mirror that I just outright did not like, flat out.
Mm-hmm.
There's some that I like better than others, some that I think are weaker than others, but I've never just finished the episode and just been like, that's it. Until today. I didn't like it. Like, at all. And you're looking at me like I'm crazy. So what do you think?
No, I liked it, but I felt like they had some explaining to do.
I just felt like it was boring.
Oh, I didn't. Well, obviously you fell asleep.
Yes, I had to watch it twice because I fell asleep on it the first time and I had to go back and watch it again from where I fell asleep at. But even still, even if I hadn't, I was still bored the second time viewing it. Because, okay, this is what my issue is with it mainly. Now, if you've seen the episode, you know how it all goes down. We follow the main character who is a Uber driver, and he's going through some kind of shit because he's in a, not a counseling thing, but a
like a grief support group.
Yeah, a support group. But we don't know why he's there, and he ends up hooking up with a woman who is there, and she's going there because she's trying to cope with the fact that her daughter committed suicide, but she doesn't know why, and she's trying to gain access to her social media page, her persona page, which is the Facebook of this universe, and she can't get into it, but she's hoping to get into it to try and give her some kind of closure about her daughter's suicide. And we find out that he keeps trying to pick up people from this company called Smithereens, or Smithereen. And Smithereen is basically the Twitter of this universe.
Yeah.
And he finally picks up someone who works there and kidnaps them, and he is holding them for ransom because he wants to talk to the creator of Smithereen. And it takes about a good, I'd say 20 minutes to get to the point where we find out he wants to talk to the creator of the app.
Yeah.
Because initially we're just kind of just watching him just kind of go through the motions, and we can see him. He's like at a restaurant or something like that, and he's getting triggered by people being on their phones and stuff, and he keeps having these flashes of this road, but we don't know what it's about at that point. And then he just flips out, kidnaps this guy, and then we spend the first 20 minutes or so, besides watching him just go through his day-to-day stuff and setting it up, of watching him try to figure out how he's going to kidnap this person. He's upset because the guy is just an intern. He's only been working there like a week, and, you know, he's flipping shit about that, and it's this whole thing, and just the whole time I'm just like, okay, what is this about exactly?
Yeah.
So when we finally get to the part about him wanting to talk to the COO or the CEO, I'm like, oh, okay, like now we got the gears kind of rolling. Like, okay, what is this episode going to be about? The whole time he's stuck in a car in a field, and there's snipers and shit, and the police are trying to negotiate with him and stuff like that, and he keeps trying to get a hold of the dude, and that's the whole fucking episode.
Yeah.
So do you see now why I'm just like, that's it? Because we've watched prime ministers have to fuck a pig.
You keep going back to that.
We've watched fucking nanomachine bees fucking kill a whole population of people damn near. We've watched people have to be slaves and power this whole society by riding bicycles every day, and them having some crazy ass American Idol contest and shit to get you out of that shit.
Yeah.
But you're just looped into the system, and now you're entertainment for the people who have to be slaves. We've watched kids get blackmailed for watching pedophilia and shit videos and have to go rob banks and all that shit for other people's entertainment on the dark web. Black Mirror, the reason I enjoy it so much is because the whole idea of the show is holding up a mirror to society as it relates to technology and culture and how it affects us, and giving a bunch of what if stories.
Yeah.
And with this one, it didn't feel like, this just felt like this could have been anything. Like, this didn't feel, there was nothing about this episode that made me go like, this is a Black Mirror episode, or this is from that show.
I guess.
Like, if I had only seen a handful of episodes, or even just had people tell me about it and never watched it on my own, I could pick out stuff and be like, oh, okay, this must be that one show that such and such was telling me about.
Yeah.
With this, there was literally nothing in it that made me go, this feels like Black Mirror. I mean, hell, we just watched a whole episode where two dudes have a fucking affair with each other in a video game and shit as like two Asian people. So it's like, hey, like, the expectation, kind of going back to what you said before when we were talking about Endgame and the movies that have come out since then, the bar has been set so high to where I'm like, when they come with a story like this, I'm like, it's kind of whatever. I mean, the whole twist, if you can even call it that, which, again, it takes about 20 minutes of the movie or the episode to find out why he kidnaps this person and what he's even doing in the first place. Then it takes another 30 some odd minutes or so for him to explain why he wants to talk to the CEO in the first place.
Yeah. Because
they keep stalling. Like, the whole episode is just like people trying to stop him from talking to the dude. The what was his name? Billy Bowman, yeah. The guy who runs Smithereens, he wants to talk to him.
Oh, yeah.
But all his legal team and everybody else is like, no. And the FBI tell him, no, don't do it. And then he finally talks to him, but it's after all this other shit in between has happened. He's looking at it on social media, like watching people who are at the scene, filming it and giving updates and stuff, so he knows what's going on outside this. And I get what they were going for. The whole point of the episode was just talking about how we've become disconnected from other people, and we're so concerned with our social media apps and notifications and how it becomes so addictive, and we lose sight of things that are important because we're so caught up on the high of that alert, sound going off. And during that split-second moment where he wasn't paying attention, he ends up crashing his car, because at the very beginning of the episode, you see him opening his eyes, and at the end of the episode, you see the CEO of Smithereens closing his eyes. Yeah. So it's kind of like, where your attention is drawn, and there's like a lot of different motifs about eyes and stuff like that. I get all that. That's fine. I just didn't give a shit. like I didn't. Like, there was nothing that really made me go, besides just wanting to know, okay, what is he going to tell him? And then when you find out, the car crash that he was in with his fiance was his fault because he was looking at his phone and not the drunk driver, I was like, oh, that's fucked up. But I'm like, that's it? I'm like, there's nothing else? Because, okay, were you not like me, and you've seen enough of this now to where you expect some kind of a twist or something?
Yeah, but I've got to say, the first time I watched it, it kept my attention. Like, I was pretty much on the edge of my seat, like, that night, trying to figure out, like, what was going to happen and where it was going.
I do like that. Let me say that. I do like the suspense of, okay, is he going to let this guy go? Is he going to kill him? Is he going to get out of this? Like what's going to happen to the characters? I did like that element of it. Because especially when he flips out on the negotiator or whatever.
Yeah.
I liked all that stuff. And when the sniper shoots at him and misses, and just the whole ending when they were fighting over the gun, I liked all that. Why it was happening is what I didn't give a shit about, because I was just like, you did all that for it. My thing was, I thought what was going to happen was he was going to talk the CEO of, like, shutting down the site.
Yeah.
But it was just like, no. I just want to tell you that I'm fucked up and I'm mad and y'all got this shit too addictive and now I'm finna kill myself. And I'm like,
they could have went a different way with it.
Yeah, or if you're gonna do that, start that at the first half of the episode and then play it out a different way. Like, they just wasted so much time and was spinning their wheels for so long that by the time he gets to the big reveal, quote unquote, about him being responsible for his fiance dying, I was just like, I don't even fucking care no more. Like, I'm just ready for this to be over. Like, kill this motherfucker or let him kill himself. Like, I don't give a shit. I don't know. I just feel like this was kind of a waste, and this was like the weakest episode they've put out, because you didn't like Bandersnatch, but you didn't like that because you were frustrated at the story kept restarting and it became too repetitive. You didn't like any of that stuff.
I didn't like the story either.
Okay, sure. But with this, I don't like it just because I don't feel like this was worthy of being on Black Mirror.
Okay.
Because, for one, I don't need it to be set in the far future every episode, because some episodes aren't set that far in the future.
No.
Some are kind of like current day-ish. But I needed something to hook me in and give me some kind of reason to want to keep following what was happening with these characters besides, are they going to live or not?
Yeah.
Because once they get to the reveal of why all this is happening, I'm like, I don't even care if they live or die anymore, because I felt unsatisfied by what the reveal was. Because they could have done some cool stuff with it. Like, for example, I think that they could have made it a point to, again, try to convince them to shut down the app itself, which that was probably not going to happen, but whatever. Or do something with the fact that the company, because they have access to his Twitter account, basically, that they were always one step ahead of the police.
Yeah.
Like, because they were able to listen in to what he was doing on the other side while he was on hold. They were able to get into his account, figure out his phone number, who he was. They knew who he was and more about him before the feds did, before the cops did, who were on the scene. I mean, like, got his address and everything else. Like, they were on top of all that shit as a private company with just a person from legal and a person, their analytical person or whatever, and then just the figurehead person. And I'm like, I would have appreciated if they could have addressed that kind of stuff and been like, hey, why didn't you share this information with us sooner? Like, I don't know, like, did something with that. Or even, I don't know, maybe brought back in the woman who he sleeps with at the beginning.
Maybe, because they just kind of forgot about her till the end.
Right, because I was like, okay, yeah, that's cool. He convinced him to let that woman into her daughter's Facebook account because she couldn't figure out the password and stuff to try and give her some kind of answers or some closure, hopefully. But it's like, by the time they do that, I was just like, I don't give a shit. And plus, too, I saw that coming from like a mile away. I was like, once he finally does get a chance to talk to him, and he was like, was there anything I can do, no matter how small? I was like, he's going to get him to get her access to the account. Because they pretty much stopped the whole episode and kept showing her trying to log in and her pulling out her little journal with all the password variations she's tried. And I'm just like, okay, that's going to become important again later. Because why would they just stop everything to show us this? But I thought that it was more of a integral part to what his deal was. Because remember, I had a theory when we first watched it, before I fell asleep and couldn't finish and see how it played out. But I had a theory that I think would have made a better episode than what they actually ended up doing. Because remember, I said, she said that her daughter had killed herself and she didn't know why. And I was like, because he had picked up somebody at the beginning of the episode, a woman, that he thought worked at Smithereens, but she was just there to meet somebody. She didn't actually work there. And I was like, oh, he killed that girl from the beginning and made it look like a suicide. And then she gonna find out that, kind of like that show you're watching right now that you just finished first season of, where the woman kills her husband and then she becomes friend with the other woman.
Oh, Dead to Me.
Yeah. So something like that, to where like he's going out of his way to try and be in this woman's life because he feels guilty, and she's going to find out that he killed her daughter through all this kidnapping and all this other kind of shit. But I still hadn't theorized what his motivation was for doing this in the first place.
Yeah.
But I thought that would be the connecting thing at the end to why they made her a part of the story and why they made her whole thing with her daughter so important in the first place. I'm like, oh, they're going to tie it back to he killed her daughter at the beginning and she don't know that, but he knows, or maybe he don't even know that that was her daughter. It's something like that would have been a more satisfying finisher to the episode, as opposed to going, well, maybe he got shot, maybe he didn't, and it's all over. But just looking at Topher Grace's character's face when he sees the news, I think it's pretty heavily implied that he did get killed.
Yeah.
That the sniper hit the right person and he did die. I mean, I don't know. I was thinking like, oh, well, maybe they're going to accidentally shoot the hostage and then it's going to become about, I don't know, anything else. Like, I just needed something.
Yeah.
Something better. So I'm hoping that, now we still haven't seen the final episode with Miley Cyrus. So hopefully this one can
hopefully
redeem
this
it.
is good.
Yeah, because this season is only 3 episodes. Now, if you want to count Bandersnatch, that's 4. Because that was like the Christmas special or whatever. But I don't know, like this season, because a lot of people were kind of iffy on the last season, and I liked it good enough.
Yeah.
I didn't love every episode, but I thought it was pretty good. This one, though, for them to only have 3 episodes, I'm like,
is this the last season?
Not ever, but I think the last season we're going to see for 2019. I don't think we're going to see nothing else till next year.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't know. Like, the show has always been so consistently strong and always did things that surprised me. Or even if it didn't surprise me, did it in such a way that I didn't expect it to be. That to just have a straightforward pretty run-of-the-mill kidnapping story like this that doesn't really have no kind of resolution that's satisfying, nor does it have any kind of technology twists kind of thing going on. I was just like, yeah, like I was just bummed out by it. I mean, I don't know. Like I could be being too critical of it, but again, you start off strong with Striking Vipers, and you go to this, and it's like, and you don't want this to be the first episode because they see this first, they're gonna be like, I don't even want to watch the rest of the season. So it's like they kind of had to just throw it in the middle, and they just like, just put this one in the middle, and then hopefully, we'll get a palate cleanser with the next episode. Yeah, that's all I got for that one. I'm just let's go ahead and rate this shit. So we got a 5-tier rating system. It goes.
Fucking hated it. Hated it. Meh. Liked it. Really fucking liked it.
All right. So, of the 5 tiers, A-Train, what would you rate Black Mirror Smithereens?
I don't know, because after talking about it, like, I feel like it kind of changed a little bit.
See, I always feel bad because I don't want to sway your opinion. Because if you like something or don't like something, I don't want to.
I liked it, but I just wish there was more.
Yeah, but to be fair, you did say that though at the end that you wanted more closure for what happened.
Yeah,
because I think you're like me. The biggest insult to injury about the whole episode is not only is it slow and it doesn't really go anywhere, but then they leave this whole cliffhanger like, well, did he get shot? And it's like, why are you doing that? Just say he's dead.
Exactly.
Or he's not dead. Whatever. Like, what difference does it make? Like, this ain't Inception, motherfucker. I don't need to be guessing at the end. Like, did the top fall over? Okay, so you wanted more answers, better closure.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does that translate to as far as your rating?
Probably in between a meh and I liked it.
Okay. And what did you like about it more? What did you like about it that kept it going more towards the meh angle than not?
Well, the meh was just because I didn't have any closure or anything, and I wanted answers. But what kept me like going was like the suspense of it all, and like I really liked the story. Like it really kept me on the edge of my seat.
Okay. I'm gonna go with hated it. I'm not gonna say really fucking hated it because it didn't make me angry per se. I was a little miffed by the end. We'll say that. But no, there was nothing redeeming about it. I didn't like it at all. Like, again, I was holding on to threads throughout it, hoping that, okay, maybe this will become something, or maybe they'll do this. And I was really holding out for my theory about the daughter. I was like, oh, this is going to be the twist. Here it comes. But then they build it up all the way to this big crescendo, all the way to where they're fighting over the gun at the very end, and they're trying to take the shot and make sure they hit him. And then the woman's logging into her daughter's Facebook, and then, she hits enter. She hovers over the key. Then she finally hits enter, and you're like, oh, here's the big reveal. Here it comes.
No.
And it just goes off. And I'm like, that's it? Are you fucking serious? The more I talk about it, now I'm starting to want to go into really fucking hated it territory. But I'm going to stick with what I said. I just hated it. I didn't really fucking hate it. But it is not good. It is not good. So I will say this. I've heard mixed opinions on Bandersnatch. Some people love it. Some people hate it. Some people are just about it. I will say that this is probably the most controversial episode. And not in a, oh, it's fun to talk about way, but I feel like there are going to be some people who really like this. And it may speak to them on some kind of level because of their relationship with their social media and phones. But to me, I was just like, you mad because you couldn't fucking wait till you got home to check your fucking phone notifications? Like, and then you got the nerve to call these people and tell them, like, well, you make this shit so addictive. And it's like, or maybe it's you. Yeah. Because ever since that happened, he hadn't logged in for 3 years. Because they kept saying,
18 months. It was 18 months.
Well, they were saying back in 2015, and it was 2018.
Oh. I remember them saying 18 months.
Okay. Well, either way, it's like, if you got let this shit go for almost 2 years or longer, then it can't be that addictive.
No.
Anyway, that's all I got for this one. I'm kind of bummed. I feel sad now.
You need some ice cream.
Yeah, I guess.
The thing I appreciate about Black Mirror is it shows how humans use technology to negative ends, instead of making the technology itself the villain. It's about time someone said it. You are the problem, not me.
X-Men Dark Phoenix is the last of the X-Men movies. Fox Studios was bought out by Disney, so this is the end of the franchise. Michael Fassbender. That's all I got.
I'm just like, just end it.
James McAvoy and
Was better in Split.
That's arguable. Anyway, welcome to another movie review from One Giant Leap for Geeks. I'm your host as always, Mike C. Squared, and with me is A Train. The lovely A Train has joined me to help review this movie. We, what about 20 minutes out from X-Men Dark Phoenix, and it was a thing. I will say that. So how we came upon this is, if you've been following the podcast for the past few months, you know that I was very adamant about not seeing this movie. I was not a fan of the last X-Men movie, the X-Men official X-Men movie, not like the spinoffs with Logan and Deadpool and all that, but the last X-Men proper movie, X-Men Apocalypse, was hot garbage, and I was not a fan of it at all. So I was pretty much done with the franchise at that point. And then when they were in talks to release Dark Phoenix, I was like, this shit's not going to happen. Because at that point, they were still rumors of the merger of Disney and Fox, and it hadn't quite happened yet. Once it did happen, I was like, oh yeah, no, they're definitely not going to put this movie out. Like, me and DJ Melly Mel would make jokes almost every week about how that movie's never coming out. They kept pushing it back. They had to do reshoots and all this other kind of shit. And we're just like, they're just not going to release it. It's just not going to happen. That being said, though, it finally did. They released the movie, surprisingly. And it came out in theaters to not a whole lot of applause. It didn't do well in its opening weekend. When we went, our theater had, 6 people in it, including us? Maybe 8, including us?
No, it was 10 at the end.
Okay, all right. So it was a couple more
But
people
how
just
long
got
has it
lost.
been out?
Yeah, only a few weeks.
Oh, because
not
it was
even a
only
month.
it was only playing in like one theater
one
around
theater
us.
with 2 show times, yeah.
I had 4 today, but still.
Yeah, but
one theater out of like the 10 around us.
Yeah, so it's quickly, making its way out. And I was gonna just not watch it altogether. I was just like, you know what? I've heard nothing but bad things about it. We're just gonna skip it altogether, not even bother with it. But I was feeling a little masochistic, and I put out on Twitter a prompt for people to tell me what was the worst film that they've seen in the last month. Now, it didn't necessarily have to be anything that was a new release. It was just something that they've seen recently that they really did not like. And I said that the one with the most likes would be the winner, so to speak, quote unquote, and that we would actually watch it and review it for the show. And surprise, surprise, Dark Phoenix ended up being that particular one. So, thanks to Ginger Geek Pod. I believe it's Mike over at Ginger Geek Pod, and he was actually on the show 2 weeks ago when we did the Matrix review. So thanks for that, Mike. I appreciate it. So normally when we do movie reviews, we try to do the mullet style where we do non-spoilers at the front and then spoilers at the back. But for this particular movie, there's not really a whole lot to spoil. Like, nothing really happens, to be honest.
And if it's the last one, they weren't going to set it up for another one.
Exactly. And at this point, looking at the box office and the Rotten Tomatoes score and everything else, if you wanted to see Dark Phoenix, you would have seen it by now. If not, you probably don't give a shit about spoilers. So I guess go ahead and skip this if you don't want to have the movie spoiled for you at all. But if not, we're going to go full on spoilers for this one. And yeah. So we will give our review at the end, but we're just going to talk about the movie in general and give our thoughts about it, spoilers included. So you have been warned. The choice is yours. So one of the first things that I did when I came home was I wanted to look up the Rotten Tomatoes score for this particular movie. Now, X-Men Apocalypse, like I said, is the last proper X-Men movie that came out prior to this. And it did not do well. Let's just say that. I believe, according to Rotten Tomatoes, had a
54,
I believe, some odd percent, and X-Men Dark Phoenix has a 23% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, the funny thing is that the audience score is 64%, and for X-Men Apocalypse, the audience score is about 65%, and it was 47% critic score. So it seems like no matter what, the audience score is still hovering always in the 60s. Even for X-Men The Last Stand, that movie has a 57% critic rating and a 61% audience score. So just judging by this, no matter how good or bad the movie is, the audience still always seems to be in the 60% for these X-Men movies. So they seem to be pretty consistent as far as the audience goes, but critically, yeah. And I was shocked because as far as I'm aware, X-Men The Last Stand is the most hated of the X-Men movies outside of maybe X-Men Origins Wolverine, like that first Wolverine spinoff movie with the bad Deadpool.
Mm-hmm.
That one, if not The Last Stand, Origins is probably the most hated of all these movies. But even X-Men Last Stand has a much higher score than Dark Phoenix. And I'm just like, this is sad. Because when we walked out of the theater, what did I say to you? About how long I've been watching these movies. Because the original X-Men...
Since like the early 2000s.
Yeah, I want to say the first X-Men movie came out in 2000, I want to say.
Well, not just you. I've seen them all too.
Yeah, and it's sad because the franchise has been around for so long, and I've been watching it pretty much since like the dawn of the new superhero movies. Yeah. The first X-Men came out in 2000. X-Men 2 came out in 2003. So these have been all around for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And 20. From 2000 to 2019. Yeah. So it's just like, I don't know how we got to this point to where we just fizzled out so hard with it. It was just kind of... How would you describe your experience with the movie? I'm trying to look for the right word for it. Like when it was all said and done and the credits started rolling, like what did you feel?
Like I needed to take a nap.
Yeah. We were both getting kind of sleepy towards the end because I was.
And it's the beginning of the day. Well, it's early afternoon at this point.
Yeah, it's not even 3:00 our time, so that's saying something. We went and had breakfast, went straight to the movies, and it was just like I was in it for like the first 10 minutes or so.
I was in it for a little longer than that, but
I was with it during that whole opening sequence when they go to space.
Mm-hmm. Maybe like the first hour, and then just after that, no.
Yeah. Underwhelming. We'll say that. It was underwhelming and just lackluster and fucking boring. Like it was.
They could have done a lot more.
It was so boring. Okay. And this was my argument too. If you're going to go back and redo the Dark Phoenix story again, because we already did this in X-Men The Last Stand. So if you're going to do it again, you have to... You would think that they would have had to have had a real good justification for saying, okay, I want to go in here and do it right this time. Because Simon Kinberg, who wrote and directed this movie, I believe wrote X-Men The Last Stand as well.
Okay.
So it's like you're giving the same writer another shot at the same story, and you're letting him direct it this time, but it's no better.
No.
And I'm just like, at least with X-Men Last Stand, at least shit happens in that, and there's like some kind of cool action sequences in that movie. It's not the greatest movie, but there was some fun stuff in it. Yeah, it was dumb and shit, but this was just boring as fuck. Like, okay, so we open the movie with a flashback to 1975 when Jean Grey's a little girl. She's like 8 years old, I think they said. And she's in the car with her parents, and she doesn't like the song that's on the radio station, so she starts to use her powers to change the station. Now, it's kind of implied that she's like subconsciously doing it, like she's not really trying to do that, but then her powers start kicking in kind of hardcore, and she gets to freaking out, and she starts doing this thing where she's like, be quiet, be quiet. Now, they don't ever explain who she's talking to or what she's hearing in her mind. I'm going to assume because she can read minds that maybe other people's thoughts started flooding into her head, and maybe that's why she kept doing that, because she does it a few other times later in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just like, who are you telling to be quiet? And I'm thinking like, oh, okay, because she's possessed with the Phoenix. But I'm like, no, because...
No, it happened in the beginning.
Right, because that happens when she's older and a part of the X-Men already. But, if you remember, back in X-Men Apocalypse, at the end of that, she kills Apocalypse with the Phoenix.
Yeah.
But then we just pretend like that never happened and she never had the Phoenix. And it's like, well, maybe they're just ignoring that movie and acting like it never happened. And it's like, well, no, we can't do that because Storm came from X-Men Apocalypse. So we have her, the same actress and everything from that movie, so it had to have happened clearly. So I was really confused on what her deal was. Like, the whole psychological aspect with her. But she changes the radio station, and she starts freaking out, and she's like, be quiet, and she makes her mom pass out. And then they wreck, and her mother is killed, and her father is killed, so she thinks.
Yeah.
Flash forward to 1992, and the movie straight up opens up with a space shuttle flying off and having some problems in space because they get hit by a solar flare. And the funniest... The movie is not terrible, but there's so much just bad shit sprinkled in there where I'm just like, are we for real right now? Like, I appreciate the fact that they make it a point to embrace the comic book shit, and it's just like, hey, we're putting them in the blue and yellow costumes. Like, we're not finna keep trying to make this shit super realistic. Like, hey, we just finna go balls deep into the mutant shit, and we just gonna have to accept it and go. Like, there's been almost 20 years of these movies. People, like, Avengers Endgame just came out. We will accept a whole lot of shit, all right? The president picks up a phone to call the X-Men, and it's like the bat phone from, like, the old Adam West show, because it's like a phone with a big-ass X on the front of it. And I'm just like, I love how he has a direct line to Charles Xavier from the White House on his special X-Men phone. And I was like, we just gonna ignore that and act like that ain't sitting there.
It's just normal.
But it's hilarious because later in the movie, when the president's like, oh, fuck these mutants and shit, he's like, no, I need to talk to him and let him know I can fix this or whatever. And they just, like, disconnect the line.
Yep.
But in my mind, like, they're on the other end of the phone and they, like, cut the cord to the X phone and throw it in the trash. Because I was just like, you could just have a normal phone for that. Why do you need a X-Men phone for that?
He needs to know who he calling.
Oh, that was so stupid. I was just like, oh my God.
You can't be calling, like, China or something.
Well, God forbid he doesn't know how to dial phone numbers. Like, Jesus Christ. It's like, it's so impractical. Like, I'm going to need y'all to install a phone in here that is only going to connect me to the X-Men mansion. Please, can you do that? I need to talk to Charles Xavier. It has one of those
cases, like, the special, like, emergency button.
Right, breaking case of emergency glass and shit. Yeah. It was just so stupid. So he calls the X-Men and he's like, yes, sir, I'm watching. He was like, help is on the way. And even the X-Men in the movie are like, so we going to space now? Like, when do we start doing this shit? Now, look, as a fan of the cartoon show from the 90s and of the comics, they do a lot of space shit in the X-Men, mythology, so that doesn't bother me. It's just that they've never done it in the movies. Mm-hmm. So for them to just pull this out of the ass now, even the characters in the movie are kind of like, so we going to space now? Like, all right, whatever y'all say. And like Cyclops and them, like the whole time are like, man, y'all sure about this shit? Because I don't know, man. Even Jean Grey and all them, and they're like, you sure this is cool? Mystique's like, yeah, no, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. It's all going to be great. Charles believes in it, so that's what we finna go do. I guess Hank can now control his beast powers, and he can just switch back and forth in the beast at will. And I'm just like, why? Like, this is this frustrating thing with me about the new cast for the X-Men movies currently, is that Jennifer Lawrence and Nicholas Hoult, the guy who plays Beast, they clearly don't like being in a blue character makeup, because they try to be in it as little as humanly possible. And I'm just like, when y'all got hired into this, you knew what you were going to be playing. So it doesn't make sense that you keep jumping back and forth between regular and then Beast and, regular and then Mystique. It's like, you're Mystique.
They had one day of shooting their blue makeup. They're like, we're only doing this once. I'm only sitting in this chair once.
Exactly, right. Like,
takes about 8 hours
that you need to shoot with me as this character.
Probably takes about 8 hours to get all that blue paint on.
Well, yeah, and then especially with Beast, he got all that fur and all that other shit.
Probably takes about 8 hours.
But the thing that frustrates me about it, especially with Mystique, is that because it makes sense with Beast because he doesn't want to be like that, and he wasn't born that way. Mystique is always blue.
Yeah.
Her power is to change her appearance, and so she chooses to look something else than blue, but her default setting is blue. And she makes it a point, and I believe it's X-Men First Class, where she's like, mutant and proud and all this other shit, and I'm like, well, clearly you're not proud because you are constantly jumping out of that form and trying to just look like a normal person. So that bothered me. Anyway, they go to space, and they see the spaceship, and they see the solar flare, and they're like, oh, something's not right about this. That don't look like an ordinary solar flare. And I'm like, have you seen a solar flare before this? Like, I was just like, whatever. Like, I don't know. It's just some fire in space, motherfucker. I don't know. So, I heard people complain about this in their reviews of it, but it made sense to a degree. But then once I started, like, really paying attention to the sequence, I was like, okay, this doesn't make sense. So, they use Nightcrawler and Quicksilver to go over to the spaceship and get the astronauts. So Nightcrawler teleports Quicksilver over there. Quicksilver grabs all the astronauts real quick, make them all touch Nightcrawler, then they teleport back.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. Now, I guess theoretically, because they did it so quickly, they didn't really need the oxygen mask or whatever, like, because they didn't have no helmets, no spacesuits, no nothing.
They had nothing.
But then later, when they come back, one of the astronauts is like, oh, our captain, he was in the airlock, we got to go back and get him. And Mystique is like, fuck that shit, like, nope, fuck him, we done. And Charles is like, no, we got to save everybody, this, that, and the other. She's like, well, I'm not going to put my team in danger to go get them. And he's like, well, what about they team? And she's like, motherfucker, I don't give a fuck about them. She was like, we finna go. So they obviously go back to get the captain dude. But right before they do, Quicksilver goes and puts a helmet on Nightcrawler and puts a bunch of duct tape on it. And I'm like, I guess in their mind, because he did it quickly, that means it's sealed. But I'm like, maybe. I don't think the vacuum of space works that way. You can't put duct tape on a helmet and be like, airtight, good to go. I'm like, that don't work like that. And not only does that not make sense because it don't make sense, but all you're doing is trapping the air that he currently has in the helmet in that helmet.
Yeah.
He's not getting fresh oxygen from anywhere, nor is the carbon monoxide that he's breathing out going anywhere. It's just stuck in the helmet. So when he breathes back in, all he's breathing back in is the waste air that he's breathed out. So that would not keep you alive. But again, whatever. I'm thinking like, okay, Quicksilver's going to go back over there with him, so it'll be really quick and done. No. They're like, oh, the ship can't stay together because Storm is trying to keep it together with ice, I guess. And they're like, oh, the ship won't stay together, yada, yada, yada. So they're like, oh, no, Jean can do it. Send her over there. And she's like, well, not from here. I got to be inside the ship. Which I'm like, I don't really see why. You have telekinesis. Why would you need to be in the ship to do that? But whatever, sure. Maybe she doesn't have a really good handle on her powers. So they teleport her over there with no helmet. And she's inside the ship that is breaking apart. So that means that she's exposed to space and there's no oxygen in there. She doesn't need a helmet, but Nightcrawler does? And I'm like, okay. And again, I would have excused if they had Quicksilver with him still, because it would have been like a split second and then been done, and they wouldn't have had time to suffocate or nothing like that.
No.
But since they're doing it at normal speed, I didn't get how that was working. And I guess you could say she made a force field around herself or some shit, but I'm like, I don't think that that's how oxygen works, but whatever. Anyway, they get the captain, Nightcrawler goes back, the solar flare, which we know is the Phoenix Force, goes into Jean, and she tries to, the flare is going to hit the X-Wing, but she like guides it back over to her, and then it all goes inside of her. The spaceship blows up, and she's all burnt the fuck up and shit, but she heals from it, and she's just floating out in space. Nightcrawler gets her, brings her back. They go back home, and it's like, well, everything's fine, I guess. Jean looks okay. She says she feels great, so, you know, and Charles is like, well, just go do a general checkup on her, you know, see if she got a temperature or anything like that. Like, you know, just standard procedure stuff. And he's like, oh, okay, sure. And I'm like, no one is weirded out by the fact that she is not dead or all that fire went inside of her. Like, y'all saw it happen.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they saw it. It wasn't just like the ship got hit with the solar flare. She absorbed that shit. Then the ship blew up. And they all witnessed it happen. And they're just like, well, she said she seems okay, so I'm not going to question it. And, like, Mystique has a line where she says, like, oh, well, she should have been dead. And it's like, yeah, but the fact that she's not, and no one has seemed to be all that concerned about it.
Questions.
Right. I mean, now granted, no one's going to immediately think she's possessed with some kind of alien life force and she's going to be evil and crazy.
No.
But at the same time, I would at least be kind of weirded out by it. And Scott, he's just like, hey man, you know, as long as we can keep fucking, I'm happy. Because he was on her nuts so hard through the whole movie. And I'm just like, man, you ain't even finna kind of like be like, I guess he does say something to Nightcrawler and Storm where they're like, so how is she doing? He's like, oh, she's thirsty because she done knocked back like 13 drinks or some crazy shit. And I'm just like, I guess. Do you think they fucked after they came back from space?
Oh, I'm sure.
Because she says something to him like, oh, you know, everything just feels like, you know, just so heightened and this, that, and the other. And I was like, it came all like she was horny as hell. And I was like, hey man, this can be the best fuck you've ever had in your life. Like, pussy is literally on fire. So if you would ever want to experience that, this is your chance to do it, Scott. So we go forward a little bit to, she freaks out at the party. And she like knocks everybody back, blows a bunch of shit up. And she freaks out and she's like, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
She is sleeping and Charles tries to go into her mind, and that's where we find out that he's put up walls around her subconscious to make her forget that she killed her mother when she was a child, and she finds out that her father is not dead, that he survived the car accident and he's still alive, and that Charles made her forget all this. She leaves the X Mansion. Everybody's pissed off at Charles. She goes to go find her father. They go after her. She gets to her dad and confronts him. Well, first she tries to, like, reconnect with him and stuff like that.
It didn't really work.
No. And she's looking at the pictures and she starts to freak out. And what does she say to him?
She said, there's none of me, or something like that. Yeah,
and she's mad that there are no pictures of her in the house. And he's like, well, you know, when you know, my whole world died that day, including you, and yada, yada, yada. And she's like trying to read his mind. He's like, well, if you want in, come all the way in. And he was like, remember what you did to my wife or your mother or whatever. And she starts to remember what happened during a car accident and the fact that her mom died and her dad was like severely hurt. And then she finds out that he gave her up to Charles because he was afraid and didn't know. Because at that point, people didn't know what mutants were. They were still a secret. And all he knows is that this bitch has some kind of crazy powers and killed my wife. And almost killed me. So, yeah, I could kind of see, like, I don't know, like, do you think he was in the wrong for that?
No, because he was probably scared, like, history would repeat itself.
Right, because he was like, oh, she's a lost cause.
Yeah.
And all that shit. Like, now, don't get me wrong. It's fucked up that he just abandoned his daughter like that.
Yeah, but he was probably thinking, like, oh, they can help her better than I can.
Right, but I'm like, but people have given up their kids for adoption for much less.
Oh, yeah.
Minus a super being and shit.
Exactly.
So it's like, I kind of was like, nah, I would have probably abandoned you too and been like, yeah, you can come take her. I'm good on this. Well, she gets pissed off and you think that she's going to kill him, but she doesn't. She just like makes him pass out. And the X-Men get there and they're trying to tell her like, hey, come back with us, this, that, and the other. And, she's like, no, fuck you. You lied to me, this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. And Scott comes up and he was like, hey, you said you'd always come back to me. Come back to me. And for a moment, it seems like she's kind of let her guard down and she's going to. And then the police show up. And I looked at you in the theater and I said, where did the police come from? Because unless when the dad went to go get her something to drink, unless he called the police then? Because at that point, she was not a threat to nobody.
No.
I mean, what happened at the X-Mansion, nobody knew about that. So it wasn't like she was a danger to the public. So it was like, why would he go and immediately call the police once she showed up?
That's an unanswered question.
Because all they needed was just one scene to just show him like picking up the phone and kind of looking like over his shoulder.
Oh yeah,
and like starting to dial, and that would have been enough information to convey to the audience like, okay, he called the police. But because we didn't see that, when they just show up, it's like, where did they come from? And so she gets pissed off, immediately fucking blows the police cars up and shit, and it's just like, oh okay,
destroys the little neighborhood.
Yeah, it's like now we done got into some shit. So then at that point, it's all out fight. And that's one of the other things about this movie. The action sequences are so boring and they happen so quickly. Like that fight that they have with Jean is over like that.
Oh yeah.
Like I think Quicksilver, he tries to run on some debris up towards her to stop her.
And she just knocks him back.
She knocks him away, which didn't really make sense to me because I'm like, well, can she move at super speed now too? Is that what's happening?
Well, she knocked Storm back too.
Yeah, but Storm just has lightning powers and shit like that, so I get that. But I'm like, he should be moving so fast, she couldn't even see him move from one spot to the next. Like, to her, it should be like instantaneous. But she was able to just throw him off to the side, and he's out for the rest of the movie. Literally, you never see Quicksilver again for the rest of the movie. He has that one scene in the spaceship and the one scene where he tries to run at Jean, and that's it. Because I think he's too overpowered, and so they have to find a way to write him out of the movie. Because if not, it's like anytime something happens, it's like, well, Quicksilver can get it. Mm-hmm. It's like there should never be a problem. He can just run and stop whatever. So that's kind of what frustrates me about having him in these movies, because I'm like, if you're going to be constantly trying to find a way to get rid of him, why did y'all even introduce him into the movies in the first place?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Because they never do anything with the fact that he's Magneto's son.
No.
And they never touch on that. They kind of hint at it in one of the other movies, but I think it was Apocalypse. But they never go into the details of it. So it's like, well, if you weren't going to do anything with him, why use him? Well, shit goes sour, and Mystique is like, hey, look, like, I'm not here to kill you. Fuck Charles. He ain't shit. Come with me. Like, I want to help you. Like, we family. I'm trying to look out for you. And she's like, no, you can't, this, that, and the other, and I can't control it, and you don't understand. And she, like, blows Mystique back, and she gets slammed into, like, a fence or something.
It looked like a fence.
I don't know. There's just some spikes sticking out of her chest. And so, surprise, surprise, they killed off Mystique. the moment the trailer came out and they showed them like being sad over a grave, I was like, they're finna kill Mystique. I'm like, I already knew, because Jennifer Lawrence has been so disinterested in doing these movies for so long at this point, to where she's just like, just get me the fuck out of this shit. We timed it. It was about, I don't know what the total runtime of the movie was. I want to say a little over 2 hours. I think.
A little bit over 2.
And not even an hour into it, they kill Mystique off.
Yeah.
Dead. Done. And I was like, why even bring her back for this? Like, you could have just left her
I
out
didn't
the
even think she was going to be in this one.
I didn't either. And I don't think she thought she was either. But they probably was like, we had to sue the fucking shit out your ass. We got a contract for this shit. Well, they kill Mystique. Surprise, surprise. Everybody's all sad and shit. And I was just like, I don't fucking care. I'm just glad she's out of this shit, because she didn't want to fucking be here in the first place. Plus, I didn't like the line that she said earlier in the movie where she's like, you know, the women are always saving the men around here. You should change the name to X-Women. And just walks off. And I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, when did it become a competition between what gender saves what gender the most? Like, shut up. Well, we have Mystique's funeral. And
like, barely.
Yeah. And Charles, throughout the movie, has been showing signs of alcoholism. We'll say that, because he been getting sauced.
Oh, yeah.
Throughout the whole movie. Like, every time you see him, if he ain't getting a medal from, like, the president or talking to the kids or some shit, he's got, like, a little flask under his wheelchair and shit. Like, every time you see him, he is pouring a drink. And he comes to come talk to Beast, and he's talking about, yes, it was in this very kitchen that I first met Mystique and offered her some food and, you know, was take care of her. And, you know, he pouring a drink and shit. And Hank's mad. He slaps the shit off the counter. He's like, no, fuck you, Charles. This is your fault. He was like, she was going to leave. He was like, just admit you was wrong. And that was the one scene in the movie where they actually did some drama that I cared about. Because I was like, this is interesting to show kind of Charles's hubris.
Mm-hmm.
Because he wants so badly to be accepted by the rest of the world. And because he's finally gotten to that point, he's gotten, like, arrogant and cocky.
Yeah.
And he won't admit that he did anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, though, we talked about this on the way back home. And what did I say? About therapists. Because everybody's mad at him for...
like, suppressing her memories.
Yes, for suppressing her memories. And it's like, well, therapists and psychologists do that stuff all the time. When a young person has been traumatized in some kind of way or abused or something like that, not to say that they try to make them forget completely, but try to push it to the back of their mind and not let it affect them in their development as a person. So I didn't get why they were so pissed off about that. Plus, it wasn't like he stole her from her dad.
No.
He straight up was like, I don't want her anymore. I'm afraid of her. So if anything, he saved her from being an orphan and gave her purpose in a family. So I was really not sure why they were so pissed off at him for that.
I don't know.
Hey, who knows? But regardless, Hank's mad at him and he runs off and he's like, fuck you, I'm finna go join up with Magneto. And apparently Jean and him have the same fucking idea, because she's like, I'm finna go join Magneto. So she goes to his little village that he's, you know, made. And this is over an hour into the movie now. And we finally see Magneto for the first time. Michael Fassbender pops up and, you know, he's like, what the fuck is you doing here? He's like, come in here, let me talk to you. So now he's like, whose blood is that on you? And she's like, oh, you know, I don't want to talk about it. And he's like, now why are you fucking here?
Yeah.
Like, and she's like, oh, well, you used to kill people and what, how did you stop? And he was like, you know, I'm just doing me now. Like, I'm chilled out. Like, that was a long time ago. I mean, pretty much. I mean, he doesn't really give much more explanation than that.
No.
He's like, you know, I've always lived with rage in my heart, and now I don't.
The end.
Exactly. And it was like, that's not really an explanation, Michael, but all right. Or Eric. That's not really an explanation.
Explanation.
Yeah, I know. I'm drunk. No, my sinuses started to bother me. But there's a confrontation between Eric and the military because they want Jean. And he's trying to protect her. And he's like, oh, well, my family the government legally gave us this land, and y'all can't come over here fucking with us. And he's like, we just here to get Gene. Like, we don't want to worry about you. And he was like, Gene killed a bunch of police officers and shit. What about them and their families? And he was like, oh, you must ain't heard about that. Eric's like, shit. You can see it on his face. He's like, shit, because he all he knows is somebody got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously she came there all freaked out.
He doesn't know anyone's dead.
Right, but he don't know that Mystique is dead at this point, and he don't know that she killed some cops and shit.
Yeah.
So he's just like, damn, like, I was trying to help this bitch, but now I'm starting to, wonder. And then here she come, bringing her bitch ass out of the fucking thing, because he told her when the military showed up, he's like, sit your ass down.
Mm-hmm.
I got this shit. Don't worry about it. The moment they get to bringing her name up, she's like, here I am, bitches, and he comes floating down, and I'm just like, why are you getting involved? Like, he had this shit covered for the most part. I don't know, maybe she was reading his mind.
Maybe.
And when the military dude told him about the police being killed, maybe she knew, like, oh, damn, he might give me up. I need to come out here and kill these motherfuckers. So she basically comes out there to just murder the military dudes that came there to come get her. Like, nobody was coming there to kill her. They just wanted to, like, arrest her, I guess, pretty much.
I guess.
Or at least put her in some kind of confinement. And she's just like, I'm just going to kill all these motherfuckers. And so they have, like, a power battle over her trying to destroy the helicopter, and Magneto's, like, trying to hold it and shit. He's like, get your ass on the chopper and get the fuck out of here. And we laughed so hard because the one dude, he couldn't get on, and he kept
like falling.
I was like, did they ever get him into the fucking
helicopter? When Magneto like went with it and it flew off, he was inside. He wasn't hanging off no more.
I was like, because it'd have been funny, they just pan down and there's just one dude still there like, I'm sorry.
Like, use your military strength and get your ass up there.
Yeah. And so after they send them off, Magneto looks at Jean. He's like, you gotta get the fuck out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you just brought a whole bunch of shit down. He's like, do you know that I am pretty much like an international, like, war criminal, and I should be, like, under a prison or dead?
Yeah.
And they were willing to let all that shit go. I tried to kill the president in X-Men Days of Future Past, and they let that shit go and let me have my own little village with mutants and let us live in peace, undisturbed, and now you fucking this shit up for me.
Mm-hmm.
But what made me really confused was, I mean, because this whole movie happens over maybe the course of a week, if that long.
Yeah.
And the moment Jean killed them cops, it was just the day before that they saved them astronauts, and they given Charles, like, the key to the city and shit. And the president's giving him medals and speeches and all this other kind of shit. And he's talking to politicians and shaking motherfuckers' hands. He's like, oh, y'all call us superheroes, which is, a whole lot better than what y'all used to call us, and this, that, and the other. And the moment Jean flips shit, they immediately like, oh, we're making mutant internment camps, and we need to round up all the mutants. And I'm like, damn, like, y'all ain't waste no time. It was just like, one of y'all fucked up? Nope. Okay, we can't be bothered. Nope. All right, we gave y'all a chance. Y'all fucked it up. I want to know because like I said, they lost me earlier in the movie than they lost you. I want to know, at what point was it after we leave Magneto's little village did they start to lose you?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Because Hank shows up and he's like, yeah, Magneto, like, that bitch killed Mystique.
She gotta go.
Right. He was like, I loved her. You love Mystique. Like, we got to join forces. Like, we had our differences in the past, but Jean got to go. Magneto's like, all right, let me go dust off the old helmet. Come on, let me go get it out of storage and shit. Because I'm just like, that's the one thing that frustrates me about his character. In literally every single X-Men movies, in the prequel movies, every movie Magneto has, like, settled down and, he's just being cool. And then some bullshit happens and brings him back out of retirement. And he's like, let me get the old helmet out. I gotta go kill some motherfuckers. Because, like, in X-Men Apocalypse, he was working in, like, a metal warehouse or something. He had a family, and the military find out he's a mutant, and they kill his family and shit. And then he's like, is this what you want from me? And he, like, kills everybody and goes back crazy. He's like, let me dust off the old helmet. And I'm just like, leave him the fuck alone. Like, if y'all not finna kill him, then leave him the fuck alone.
He's doing fine. Like,
right, just let him do him. And so he's like, fuck it, come on, we gotta go fuck some shit up. The X-Men and Magneto's crew, they all meet Magneto and his crew is ready to kill Jean.
mm-hmm.
Charles and his crew are like, no, we can't let this happen. A little bullshit ass fight ensues.
That was ridiculous.
There was some kind of fun stuff with like, who was the dude with the dreadlocks?
I have no idea. He just uses dreadlocks like chains.
And I researched this because I heard about him beforehand. We saw it. That is not a character. They made him up just for this movie. And I'm like, there are literally hundreds, if not thousands of mutant characters in the X-Men universe. You could have picked literally anybody.
They wanted him.
And y'all was like, no, we gonna make a new character just for this because we need some more diversity, I guess, in the fucking cast or some shit. So get this dude dreadlock powers. And I was like, get the fuck out of here.
That's what they wanted.
They have this fight. Magneto does some silly ass shit where fucking he pulls a subway out from under the ground and just like makes it go through the front door
so
of the
no
house
one else
in.
could come in.
Is that why he
I
did that?
figured that.
Because Scott just blew a hole in the other wall and just ran in there anyway. So I was like, what? They could have tore the roof off the fuck. They had Storm and shit. I'm like, what was that doing?
I don't know.
I was like, and then what bothered me about that was it took him so long to raise it from the ground.
Mm-hmm.
In Days of Future Past, we watch him lift a whole fucking stadium up and drop it around the White House. Why did it take him so long just to pull a subway out the ground? Like that
he was tired. He was tired.
And he got his powers amplified in X-Men Apocalypse. Now, granted, after Apocalypse died, you could argue that he went back to his normal power level, but still, in X-Men The Last Stand, he picks up the San Francisco Bridge and puts it on Alcatraz as a path from the island to the fucking thing. So
I don't know. X-Men questions unanswered.
I guess you're right. Well, he confronts Jean. He's like, bitch, I'm here to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
And he tries to take the railing and like make it stab her in the eye, but he can't do it. And she's like, and you couldn't even do that. And I was just thinking to myself, like, why not just have a car come from the back of the house and smash into her or some shit? Like, why would you come directly into her face where she sees it coming? Because I'm thinking like, oh, okay, in the background you will see.
Well, she could read his mind. Like she knew what was happening.
Well, no, that's why he wore the helmet, because that's what the helmet's for, is to keep Charles and them from able to read his mind. So, like, I'm thinking in the background, okay, he gonna have like some knives or something floating up and go stab her in the back of the head or something. No, he just tries to go right for her face, and when that don't work, she just beats the shit out of him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. Charles gets into the house thanks to Scott and Kurt.
Mm-hmm.
And the most fucked up scene and the most interesting thing they did in the whole movie, in the one time where I was like, okay, I'm actually liking how they're kind of making her evil. She straight up, because he was like, oh, you can do anything you put your mind to, Jean. Like, you can control this. And she was like, oh, so can you. And she's like, walk to me. And he's like, you know I can't. And she picks this crippled motherfucker up and like puppeteers his legs.
That part was so
I was like, now this is some villainous shit. I'm like, I actually like this. I'm like, I wanted more stuff like that.
That was horrible.
Because I was like, man, this is some foul ass shit. Like, he just seemed so helpless, and he was just like, don't do this. You could see his legs are all stiff and shit because he can't walk. And I was just like, man, like, that's crazy. Like, that is the first time I've ever seen him do anything like this, even as far as I know, even in the comics. And it really made her, for that split moment, seem like a real villain.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, besides the cops, that's the only people she kills outright. Now with Mystique, she didn't kill. She blew her back by accident.
That was an accident.
And
her
she
killing
died.
her.
But she doesn't actually make it a point to kill anybody.
No.
Even when Magneto tries to kill her, she like breaks his helmet and like throws him out the window, but she doesn't actually kill him.
No.
And when she knocks Quicksilver away, she doesn't kill him. She doesn't kill anybody.
No.
Anytime she confronts anybody, she just like knocks him away.
Yeah, she wants him gone.
Even the only people she tried to, I think, actively kill was the military dudes. Other than that, everybody
Because she didn't
else,
want them there.
Yeah, but still, though, everybody else, she makes it a point to just kind of knock them out. Like, she doesn't actually kill anybody. So that was the one time where she actually did some evil shit in the movie. Now, this whole time we haven't mentioned, what's her name? Jessica Chastain's character.
The blonde bitch?
Yeah. Now, some aliens are looking for the Phoenix Force, and they want it back from Jean. Or they want to at least be able to use her while she has it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know why, but apparently they can absorb the Phoenix as well. I don't know. They did a piss poor job of explaining that. But apparently, I found out that the aliens, they're shapeshifters in the movie. They can change into other people. Those apparently were supposed to be the Skrulls. The Skrulls from Captain Marvel.
Oh,
but
they didn't look the same.
No. But Marvel came in and was like, "The fuck you is to do that shit." They said, "You ain't fucking up this shit." They said, "Look, you fucking up enough in your own universe. You can't have the Skrulls too. That's our shit." They said, "We getting the rights to Fox. That's our shit. You can't use them." So they had to go back and reshoot a lot of shit with them, and they could never call them the Skrulls. They just had to be just random ass shape shifting aliens, but not the Skrulls. So. Yeah. So the alien bitch, she tries to absorb, because this whole time she's been like the devil on Jean's shoulder, and she's like, "Yeah, they afraid of you. They don't understand you. Fuck them up. Fuck them up. Fuck them up." And so she's like, "All right, well, if you ain't gonna do it, give me the shit." Mm-hmm. And she tries to take the Phoenix from her. Scott comes in, shoots her with the laser, and stops her. They get Jean, and they're trying to run out, but the military comes and captures everybody. They put all these motherfuckers on the train, and they're taking them to some secure location, somewhere, I don't know.
They're never gonna make it.
Apparently, they know how to suppress their powers, too, because I was like, why couldn't Magneto just break out of that shit once he woke back up? Because he was just knocked out because of what Jean did to him.
Yeah.
Once they took him onto the train, he was awake again. So I was like, can they stop y'all from using y'all powers because they had them collars on him or something?
And the cuffs and everything.
Yeah, but he don't need hands or anything to use his metal shit. And Xavier can still read minds and do all that other shit. So I don't know. Maybe they could suppress their powers and they just didn't say it. I don't know.
X-Men questions unanswered.
That's they should name this shit. Well, shit goes to hell very quickly on the train. And the aliens start breaking in because they want to get the rest of the Phoenix out of Jean. Because she has some of it, but not all of it. And Jean's knocked out, and Charles is back there trying to wake her up and get her to help. A fight ensues. Pretty boring fight. Mm-hmm. And it was sad, too, because this is like the finale of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like, everybody's shining, like, Beast is jumping around and flipping motherfuckers and roaring and shit. Storm shooting lightning onto the train. Scott's back there shooting laser beams and shit. And I'm just like, I don't fucking care, man.
It's like, can we go home?
I'm like, this shit is so whack, man. Like, Magneto, he throwing metal doors at motherfuckers and shit and lifting machine guns and shooting them. And I'm just like, that is cool in theory, but I don't give a shit. I'm like, it's so just, I'm like, whatever. So the alien chick, she gets onto the train and she's like, all right, I'm here. I want my shit. Where the fuck Jean at? Jean wakes up and she's like, I gotta protect my family. And I guess in her mind, protecting her family means picking the train up off the tracks and just flipping it through the air.
I guess.
Now, to be fair, she does put everybody in a force field to keep them from getting hurt. But I feel like you could have just disintegrated the people.
Yeah.
And not needed to throw the train into a fireball and shit. Like, I was like, I felt like you could have did a much more productive way of getting them off of here. Another fight ensues, but you actually get to see Jean use her powers for once, instead of just kind of doing telekinesis, which you could always do. She's like disintegrating the alien dudes left and right, and that was kind of cool. There was some fun stuff with that. I like when she grabs a dude by his head and disintegrates him. That was kind of cool.
The end.
Yeah, the alien chick, she comes up. and she wants the Phoenix out of her. And Jean is like, well, if you want it, you're going to take it all. And I'm like, okay, so are you like trying to kill her with it, or are you actually giving it to her? X-Men questions unanswered. She realizes that if she tries to kill the alien chick with the Phoenix Force, that's going to kill everybody else around him. And she's like, your emotions make you weak. And she's like, no, my emotions make me strong. She takes her and they fly off into space, and then she kills her and burns her all up there. In the process of doing this, this kills Jean as well. She blows up into a big fireball mushroom cloud in the sky. Everybody's sad. Fade to apparently Beast is now running the X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
He's the new Professor X. Professor X has retired, I guess, and he's in like Italy or some shit at a coffee house or some shit. Who fucking knows? And Magneto shows up with a little chessboard, and he's like, oh, come on, baby, let's play some chess. And he's like, man, I ain't got time for you in this bullshit. I'm good. He's like, man, come on, just one game. I'll let you pick, which hand has what pawn in it. So they start playing a game, and he's like, a long time ago, Charles, you saved my life and offered me a home. And he's like, now I offer one to you. And so it's implied that Xavier and Magneto are going to team up and be a thing together. They finally going to have their bromance and go run off into the sunset together. The X-Men are still going on without Professor X, and Beast is running it, and then they just pan up to the sky, and you just see a Phoenix fireball in the sky floating for a moment, and it's just like, and you hear Jean's voiceover like, oh, I'm just above them now, and I'm in another place, and this isn't the end of me or the end of the X-Men. And I was like, bullshit. I was like, this is definitely the end of the X-Men.
Yeah.
At least in this incarnation. We will see them again eventually in the MCU, but as far as this goes, this is it. Like, there's not going to be any more X-Men movies. It was just so sad to just see it go out like that. I was just like, this is it? Like, y'all had time to go do reshoots and go back and change shit about the story and everything else, and this is the best y'all come up with? You got 2 chances to do this story, and you shit on it twice. And I'm just like, I'm so glad Disney got this shit now. Like, come get your fucking shit, because they don't know what they doing with it. Like, Fox... You said that they could have did more with it. What do you think was missing from this? What would have made you like this more?
Anything else, I feel? I don't know.
Like, is it the story? Was it the action sequences? Like, what about it needed more?
Probably more on both. More action and more story.
Yeah. I just can't put my finger on it. I mean, the story, like, in and of itself, it's like, y'all did this already.
Yeah.
Like, y'all done this. Y'all literally did this exact same story in The Last Stand, where, you find out that he was suppressing some shit in her mind and shit. And it was just like, why are you doing it again? Like, we all remember that movie.
I don't know.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. That's all I can say about it. I'm just fucking pointed. 2.5
hours my Sunday I won't get back.
I mean, all in all, like, if you haven't seen Dark Phoenix, and judging by the box office, most of you haven't.
Just wait till you watch it at home, if that.
Or, at all. Like,
or just skip it.
I would not recommend watching this in any...
Maybe if it comes on TV one afternoon and you have absolutely nothing else to do and nothing else to watch, maybe then.
Yeah, but other than that, it's not worth your time. Again, it's not offensively bad. It's just fucking boring.
Yeah.
And they don't do anything better in this than they did in X-Men The Last Stand. Honestly, there's more story to that movie than there is to this. And this is just there. It really is. That being said, we do a 5-tier rating system. It goes...
Really fucking hated it. Hated it. Meh. Liked it. Really fucking liked it.
All right. X-Men Dark Phoenix A-Train, what would you give it?
Probably a meh.
Really? After all that, just
Or I
meh.
didn't like. Well, I don't really sway one way or the other.
Okay, I mean, if that's your honest, opinion about it,
I didn't
don't change it.
hate it.
Okay. So just a meh.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say hated it. I can't go quite to really fucking hated it because it didn't make me angry when I left the theater. I was just like I said, I was just sad. The X-Men franchise deserves better than this. Like, honestly, they should have ended it with Logan and not made another movie after that.
Logan was so good.
Exactly. That was a high that they are never going to hit again. And the fact that they just kept spinning their wheels after that, I was like, y'all should have just ended that shit with that, call it good, and be done. But yeah, so thanks, Ginger Geek Pod. I appreciate the suggestion. I did not enjoy it at all. But I didn't hate it either. So I guess there's that. Well, we appreciate you guys.
Until next time.
Right, joining us for another review. And yeah, until next time. We'll see you next time. That is it for the show. Remember, you can always find us at our home, onegiantleapforgeeks.website.com. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, or anywhere else you get your podcast. Make sure to show us some love, though, so go ahead and hit that like button, that subscribe, rate, follow, review us, and all that shit.
Got any questions you want us to answer on the show? Any comments, criticisms, or you just want to say hi? You can email us at officialoglfg@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter at GiantLeap4Geeks, and on Facebook, Reddit, Tumblr, and Instagram. Just search for One Giant Leap for Geeks. Bye!